Hi everyone, in today's video I'm wanting to introduce you to a traditional Japanese type of embroidery called Sashiko. To give you a little bit of background about Sashiko, first I'll show you a book that I find for beginners is amazing. It's the first book that I personally purchased for Sashiko. It is called Simply Sashiko, and it is made by the company called Tuttle. The amazing thing about Tuttle, to give you a little bit of background about this publisher, is he originally had a publishing company here in the States prior to World War II. After World War II, he discovered a whole other market in Asia of those ones wanting to learn English, and so he opened publishing and imported books to Japan in particular. But then his publishing company has spread into all the Asian countries, including where this book was, I think, printed in Singapore. I want to say Taiwan, Hong Kong, Korea. Tuttle Publishing has brought a lot of the arts and crafts that were predominantly only written in those Asian languages. Their publishing company has translated those patterns and instructions and brought them here to the States. So this is a great publishing company. If you're interested in Asian crafts in general, you might really enjoy looking up this particular publishing company, and a lot of their books are available on Amazon. So this is an example of traditional Sashiko stitching. They were specific designs and patterns that, have become known, like this one here, as being very traditional Japanese. The wave, I forget the English names, but they're very, very traditional stitching patterns. So how this developed was hundreds of years ago. I'm trying to think of the proper term to use these days. I guess you could call the lower class or the poor people of the country could not afford and did not have access to purchase clothing very easily. So at this time period in Japan, many were wearing what's called indigo fabric. It's thinner than jean fabric, thinner than denim that we have here in the States. I can describe it more like quilting fabric, 100% cotton, not super thick, but if you layer it, it can get warmer. So Sashiko stitching provided two purposes for this particular group of people in Japan hundreds of years ago. One, it was a way of strengthening the fabric so that it wouldn't tear or rip to begin with. Secondly, it provided extra warmth, especially when you get north of Tokyo. Tokyo can get cold too. I would describe Tokyo's climate much like Dallas, Texas. It can get very hot with humidity, like Houston, but it can get extremely cold in the winter as well, and they might occasionally get snow. But especially from the northern Honshu Island and Hokkaido, it's very, very, very cold, like Russia cold. So this was a way of staying warm in those winter months as well. So in the States today, we might call this kind of mending visible mending, slow stitching, and used for the purposes of upcycling. So I think those were the terms that, if you searched on social media here in the States, those might be some of the other terms that you find this under. Now, I'll be honest, my grandmother tried to introduce this to me. I want to say I was like 8 years old. We were there for the summer, almost all 3 months of summer vacation, and she was trying to teach me so many crafts that summer. She was just so excited I was there, and she wanted to teach me all the crafts. So she started with origami. You would say origami here in the States. So she started with origami. She tried to teach me crochet, loom knitting, beading, temari balls. Temari is te is hand and mari is ball. So she tried to teach me these hand-wrapped balls to make, and she tried to teach me sashiko. Now sashiko is in the very beginning, which is she was trying to teach me the proper method called Unshin. She was trying to teach me how to get the rhythm of stitching properly with Sashiko. And that introductory step for beginners is, I will admit, extremely boring. We would call it here a running stitch. It's just making straight lines and getting that stitch pattern even. And the way to get it even is by getting this muscle memory in your hand and rhythm in your head down together at the same time. And so all I was being taught at that time were straight lines. So I got very bored with it and I quit on my poor grandmother. And now that she's 96 years old, I wish she could still come back and teach me all those things she was trying to teach me back then. So now I'm having to teach myself. So I'm wanting to share that with you. This has a great list of beginner tools to get. That's where I learned to get what tools I needed. And honestly, the nice thing about Sashiko for beginners is everything you need can fit in a very small pouch like this one. So this particular pouch I got at Hobby Lobby. You can find a gajillion pouches just like it on Amazon. I'll try to find something similar since I don't think they sell online. So I'll try to find something similar. I'll link all the Sashiko products that I've purchased off of Amazon below. Now those are affiliate links, so if you do choose to use them, they may pay me a small commission if you choose to use those links. But again, it doesn't cost you another penny at all. All right, so let's get into it. So maybe the first thing that's going to interest you is to actually look for some pattern kits. So when my mom was in Japan last month, she actually picked this one up for me. So a company you might search for is called Olympus. Olympus is kind of like our version of Singer here in the States. They're just an old established company in Japan of fiber crafts. Also, Clover is a Japanese company. So most of my supplies to actually do the work are Clover brand, and those are from Japan, but the thread and the fabrics that I'm using are from Olympus. And so this is Sashiko. So it means little stabs. So ko is also used for like children or anything that's little and small. So these are some coasters. And in this kit, it comes with really everything you need. This is the Sagical Thread. It comes with a needle and 2 coasters. This is a great beginner project. I'm going to demo it on this channel so that you know how to do the basics behind Sashiko. In particular, this method is teaching the curved lines. So there's straight line methods, there's curved line methods, and there's grid. It's very geometric in nature, which is why it appeals to me. I love drawing, and that's really what I was more interested in back when I was a kid. And I initially started in drafting and architecture in high school and through college. So I was one of those students that was the last person in class, literally, to convert over to the computer version of AutoCAD because I loved drawing the math. And I think that is what appeals to me so much about Sashiko, is just being able to get out the ruler again and draw the lines and do the angles and do the circles, and it's amazing. So if you're that kind of nerd like me, you will enjoy drawing Sashiko. But for beginners, you don't have to go that far. They have pre-printed kits like this that they've done all the work for you already, and so I'll be demonstrating these as well. So again, needle, thread, coasters, very small project, and fits in the bag. So I've started doing more crafting in the car because here in Dallas, I don't know about your area, but traffic has just gotten horrendous. And I feel like I waste so much time in traffic. I want to be productive doing something. But it also has another benefit, which my husband probably appreciates. Then I can't complain about his driving either, which is like a pet peeve. So keeps my mind occupied off of anything going on around me. So another item that you'll need are the needles. that didn't really show you anything, did it? So this is a needle case with a magnetic bottom. I love these. Those needles aren't getting lost, especially when I'm in the car. The last thing I want to do is be chasing needles all over the floorboard of my car. So these needles are not just any kind of needles. These are specifically Sashiko needles, not to be confused with regular embroidery needles. That's because you carry the stitch much further and the thread is much thicker. So I'll put a link below and I'll put a photo here specifically of what these look like so that you can make sure to buy the right kind. I like to buy an assorted pack because the longer needles I use for straight lines, the shorter needles are for curved patterns. Another essential item are grip scissors. So this one is by a Japanese company called Kohana. Actually, they buy from artisans in Japan. So these are silk thread grip scissors, but you can find still good quality ones even here on Amazon. The nice thing with grip scissors like these opposed to regular scissors is you are able to get flush with the fabric to be able to trim them after you've treated Sashiko in water. The interesting thing with Sashiko thread in particular is the twist. And with that twist, you do not always have to use a knot like you would in traditional sewing or traditional embroidery, because the way the thread twists and wraps around itself when you overlap inside of the garment causes it to knot up on itself. We'll get into that in the other videos, but that's why these kind of clippers are great, because it allows the front side of your fabric, the back side of your fabric to look as good as your front side, which is kind of the goal with Sashiko, because back then they did not have the money or resources as well to double side their stitches, so they couldn't cover up ugly stitch work. The stitching was going to show both on the front and the back side, and that's true Sashiko stitching. Now, some of the modern projects that people make, they'll put like an inner lining inside of a bag or things like that and kind of cover up those knots or hanging threads and not have to worry about all the clipping. But true, Sashiko, if you do like the dishcloths, you'll want to trim off those threads. Another handy thing to have is a seam ripper. So I got this one on Amazon. It's from Clover, very sharp, one of the best ones. I love the handle on this. I'm able to get a good grip on it. Some of them are super skinny or they're super big. So this one for me is just the right size. So I love this seam ripper. Another item I carry in the car is this little macaroon. I know it looks kind of unrelated, but what it does is one side in particular is magnetic. So, especially in the car, if I put the needle down or whatever with the thread, it's more than likely, which it's happened, it's going to get lost in the car seat. So I love this because I can set it down on my lap. I can easily find it. I set it on the dashboard. I can set it down and easily find my needle, and my needle doesn't get lost very easily. So you can do it one of two ways. You can keep this out and stick it on there. It'll stay on that as well. But I usually like to pack my case of all the needles away, and I just use this for my one needle. Now supposedly this center part is for sharpening the needle when it gets dull, but all of mine are so new at this point, I haven't had to use that part. Now, another important part for Sashiko is the right type of thimble. So the most common thimble you'll see is this one here. So I forget the brand of this one. I originally found it on Brooklyn Haberdashery, and I originally bought it from there, but I already managed to lose one of these. So that's just a warning. You're going to lose these thimbles. Don't get too attached, and keep your resource, because you never know when you'll have to buy another one, like I did. This is already my second one. So this one I bought from an Etsy seller. I'll try to link her below. She has a lot of Japanese products as well. But as well on Amazon, you can get a very inexpensive one that's the same quality. It's just silver instead of this bronze color. You can get that on Amazon from Clover. So I'll link it below. Also, this is super handy. This has been my favorite one so far. With Sashiko, you might push the needle two different ways. One, you might push the needle. So one method of pushing the needle with Sashiko is holding it this way and running your stitch through the fabric. As I try to stab myself here. And so this really protects your hand right here. So this is another way you might hold it. And as you can see, the needle can sit here and you'll still be able to get the momentum and push that you need without stabbing yourself. So that's amazing. Olympus also makes one. They have this one. It doesn't last as well from what I've seen of others. I don't really use this one that much. I prefer my metal ring. This is by far my favorite one, but you can use this one by Olympus as well. This actually came in a kit that I had bought from them. It included the needle, the thread, and this in that kit. Some other thimbles I have are this one here. When I'm going this direction, it's just sometimes handy to have to push a needle the other way. The other reason why I love this one, I actually use this in knitting a lot, because I'm a continental knitter, and I tend to push on my needle, and my chagus are a little on the sharp side, and so sometimes if I just don't feel like having that feeling on my finger, I can use this. I also have this one, either to pull on the needle. I need to find my silicone ones. I have silicone ones too that work really well for getting a grip on pulling. Another item you'll want is a needle threader. So this is a cute little bee. Again, it came with the same little kit from Hobby Lobby. This will help your eyeballs, especially like mine. You'll just need to make sure that the thread is the right size and it fits. So just put your needle threader through and you'll be able to pull your thread through the eye. Super, super easy. So I really love using a needle threader. Another thing I have in my kit are these cardboard bobbins. What's nice about these is they are much larger than your traditional embroidery bobbin, which I was really surprised to find in this section. You know, I expected these to be a lot smaller, but I was so happy that they have the big ones, because for Sagical thread, it's a much thicker thread, and what you'll be able to do is have a thread like this, and you'll be able to wrap it on that bobbin after you open it. So there's a couple of different ways you can do your thread. One is a braid method, and the other is to wrap it on a bobbin. So I'll make sure to show both methods in an upcoming video as well. So as a review of what I have in my little Go pouch that I can take in the car with me, I have some little coaster projects. Those coaster projects include thread, needle, fabric with a pattern already designed on them. No thinking for me. Extra cardboard bobbins. My magnetic needle keeper. Some grip scissors. Whatever this tool is called, it just left my brain. But I tear the stitches if I need to on the end, especially if I have like a basting stitch going around the border. That's really handy to remove that basting stitch. Thimbles of all different sizes, especially my favorite one is this, I think it's called a coin thimble. This one is my absolute favorite. This is one that can go on your finger here as well, just like the clover one. That one's in metal. And then I have a few in leather. These are from Clover. And I have this one, it's synthetic leather from Olympus. My Sashiko needles. And my cute little needle threader. Alright, so that's it for my simple kit, the easy kit, beginner basics for Sashiko. I'll have more tutorials about this on my channel. I'll be demonstrating these actual coasters here shortly. I'll be recording those videos and posting them. Also, in the next video, I'm going to show you some more advanced items, like bigger kits with grids where you draw your own design. This is actually a kit you can also get on Amazon. Also, how to properly unwind and store your thread. Much like yarn, there's a proper way to do that skein so that it doesn't end up a tangled mess. Also, what fabrics to use. I have some imported fabrics from Japan. I'll also be sharing kits with you that I'm going to be drawing out and I'll be making. I'll be posting those in my coffee shop. So these are all different things that I'll be featuring here soon on this channel. So I hope you enjoy learning about Sashiko just by watching the videos, but if you want to follow the journey with me and also do the stitch alongs with me, then please post a comment below, and I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you on the next one.